When it comes to water, have you ever thought that cats have something special? They're always drawn to flowing water, be it from a faucet, toilet or shower. They don't drink water that has been sitting in a bowl for 2 days. Let's listen to Aubrey Marcus and Dr. Zach Bush talking about the science behind all of that. This is very, very interesting.
The cats have taught me something else, because I could pour this Mountain Valley water and I could pour it in a dish and I leave that dish flat and leave it there for 2 days. They will not touch that water. But I've flushed the toilet. I've flushed the toilet and the water's swirling. They'll choose that water that's been circulating and cycling, or alive. They prefer it out of the faucet, but they'll take the toilet. But alive, it's like living water. It's like they can sense that there's something different about the water as it's alive, as it's moving, and there's something happening there.
What's happening at the atomic level, that you're witnessing there, is clumping. And so when you have stagnant water or water that goes through non-natural flow states, if you put a 90-degree bend in a plumbing line, which there's thousands in every single household, all those 90-degree turns break it out of normal flow state and you get clumping of the water molecules. And so coming out of the tap or sitting in a glass of water that you just poured, typically you've got clumps of 75 to 100 water molecules that are clumped together. And they're in an electrical relationship to each other, a biochemical and kind of colloidal structure. When you put it into a natural vortex around a pebble in a stream or swirling in that toilet bowl, as you described, that vortex energy that's there, it breaks that organization of those large clumps, and you can get down to levels of 5, 12 molecules of water, which is now far more biologically active, can be absorbed through cell membranes much better, all of that. So we have certainly learned to kill water through every mechanism that we do in municipal water systems and hydraulics around all of our water systems. But interestingly, as soon as water passes into a cell, which remains one of the most mysterious things in biology, we still don't really know how water gets into a cell, because we just have these passive channels called aquaporins in the surface of cells that have no pump mechanism. We have pumps for everything else: sodium, potassium, minerals, insulin. Like, we have all kinds of ways to get crap into cells. Water being the most important thing for cellular health, we can't figure out how that thing knows how to passively push through a cell. There's no way to suck it in, but it seems to be related to the electrical potential across the cell membrane. So like a battery, the more you insulate between the positive and negative charge, the higher the potential energy there. And so it's by creating this extraordinary charge potential across a very small distance of a cell membrane with perfect resistance through that phospholipid double membrane, you create an enormous electrical charge potential. And it's thought that it's the electrical charge potential that's being produced by the mitochondria as it translates light energy from your food back into light energy, electrons, is creating the electrical opportunity for water to enter the cell. And when it enters, it immediately crystallizes. When you've cut yourself, you've never leaked water out of yourself, which is so weird because you're 70% water.
Well, what do you mean? What's blood?
Blood is not from the cell, right? And so you'll have blood, which is a liquid state, but it's outside of the cell. When you cut yourself, you'll disrupt millions, if not billions, of human cells, skin cells, deep dermis, all of this. No water leaks out. And so you're cutting through massive amounts of tissue. Heart surgery is just so dramatic. And there is no leak. There's no water there because it's not a liquid state. It's actually in this fourth phase of water, which looks like a dense jello. And what it is, miraculously, is a crystalline structure of that H2O. And that crystalline structure lines up along the DNA of the strand of the virus or the human DNA that you receive from mom and dad to create an antenna system. And so the vibration of water around the double helix of the completed human DNA creates a vibrational antenna. And now when you hit that with light energy, it vibrates at a very specific frequency. And I believe that what gives you the ability to wake up every day thinking you're Aubrey and not me is not actually a cognitive process. It's actually a vibrational event where you always know. And if somebody came along and said, your name's not actually Aubrey, your parents lied to you, your name's Phil, that's no problem for you, because you say, all right, I'm actually Phil, but you haven't lost track of who you are at that biologic level because you're still the same frequency of resonance.
Right.
No, there's an awareness of self. There's a coherence of memory of your body that's held at the water structure and its resonance around the DNA strand. Memory's all in the water. We've never found a database in the brain or peripheral nervous system that allows for long-term memory. We have short-term memory in the hippocampus, which is a tiny little, size of an almond in the side of the brain. That's where we do short-term memory processing into long-term memory, but it disappears into this black box of long-term memory. We don't know where the hell that's happening in the neurology side, but we know through water structure that water carries memory at the molecular level in an exquisite state. And, there's been bizarre abilities now to look at atomic structure to understand vibrational input. There's a TED Talk, I think 10 years back or something like that maybe, but that showed how, I think it was a Stanford group, had been able to reproduce a conversation that happened in a room with a bag of chips, an open bag of chips, and they studied the atomic structure shift in the bag of chips to recreate the vibrational input that would have happened to create those, before and after events of the atomic structure of the chip bag, and then show that can be then translated back into voice.
This is how it went down.
Mary had a little lamb. Little lamb, little lamb.
But ridiculous as this experiment looks, it was actually really important because we were able to recover this sound.
That's mind-blowing even to fathom. I don't even think I even understand it.
Nobody really does. The point being, vibration affects structure, and the memory of water is in this interface between the crystalline structure of the gel state of water in our cells and that electrical vibration from sunlight, from food, translation into energy, all of these things.